Hello, this is one of my start to finish videos. The plan at the beginning of that particular growing year was to grow more than one crop of vegetables in the same bucket, in the same soil, in the same year. Crop rotation in a pot. Potatoes followed by celery, potatoes followed by leeks. This video shows that with planning, it can be done. Enjoy the video. Hello. Well, that's Christmas 2020 behind us, and we've made it. And here in the UK, we're still in our winter months, but spring's just around the corner. So we need to be planning our gardening year ahead. If you're new to gardening, and if you're gardening at home like I am, and if you don't have much room to grow stuff at home like me, then you might be considering growing vegetables in buckets, small buckets like this. This is an ex-cut flower water bucket. It's got no drainage holes in it at the moment, but I will drill some holes in there. And I've been growing vegetables in these successfully for a number of years now. It's about 10 inches by 10 inches. That's all it is. So it's not a big bucket. And one of the things you might have secured already this year are your seed potatoes. You're planning on growing potatoes. Well, I grow one potato in a bucket this size, and it'll yield me probably between 1 and 2 pounds of potatoes. How good is that? How much more do you want? No storage issues. Tip them out, eat them. Just empty the bucket of potatoes out, take them indoors and eat them. That's it. And then what are you left with? And what time of year is that going to happen? Well, you're not going to be harvesting potatoes till sometime in the summer months, but you are going to be planting them in the spring of the year. At least that's how we do it here at Homegrown Veg in the UK. We plant our potatoes in spring and we harvest them in summer. And as sure as eggs is eggs, when you turn this bucket out in summer, you're going to have potatoes to take indoors to eat. You're now going to have an empty bucket, and you're going to have a mound of soil or compost that has just come out of this bucket, and there are still several summer months left that'll take us into autumn that you could grow something else in this bucket, provided you prepare. And that's what this video is about. Right, I'm going to cut you to some video I shot a couple of years back. It's a compilation video, and it'll show you what I'm talking about. Watch that video and then come back to me, and we'll summarise it and we'll plan our way ahead for this gardening year. See you when you get back. Hello, these are just some of my early seed potatoes. As you can see, they're starting to chit up quite nicely now, but it's still too cold and it's still too wet. You may be able to hear the rain when I'm not talking. It's still too cold and it's still too wet to plant these guys, but we've got a game plan. It's a game plan we've discussed on a number of previous videos, and that game plan involves getting a second crop from the same compost in the same pot in the same growing year. If you're a subscriber of mine, you'll have seen me do this last year and probably the year before. And the way we do that is, these early potatoes take about 12 weeks to maturity, about 3 months. So we plant one of these in a 10-inch pot, and 12 weeks later we empty the pot out and we get 10, 12, 15, 20 potatoes in return for one seed potato in a 10-inch pot. Now I know that's true because I've done it, so I'm speaking from experience. So we're going to put this in a 10-inch pot, and 12 weeks later we're going to take it out. Now 12 weeks later we'll still be in our summer, okay, and what will we have? Well, we'll have some new potatoes to eat, but we'll have an empty pot and we'll have some compost, and we've still got some summer months left. So what are we going to do? How are we going to best use that, utilise the rest of the summer months? Well, why don't we grow something else in that same pot? Why don't we just put that compost straight back in there, perhaps add some blood fish and bone to give it some spark, and then plant something else to grow on through the remainder of the summer months, through into autumn, perhaps into winter. It can be done. I've done it. In fact, I've got it on video and I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to tag it onto this video. Now if you want to have a go at this, I call it crop rotation in a pot, because we've just grown potatoes, we've just harvested potatoes, and now we're going to put these things in the pot, except it will be 3 months from what you can see today. So these guys will have grown another 3 months before those potatoes come out. So I expect these leeks to be as thick as a pencil, there or thereabouts, by the time we put these into the pot. So we're going to put the compost straight back into the pot, add some blood fish and bone to it, and plant some leeks in that pot. And I'm calling that crop rotation in a pot. And we'll get potatoes out of that pot and leeks out of that pot in the same year. Now I've also started some celery, but the celery hasn't germinated yet, and I'll do the same with celery. I'll take the potatoes out and I'll plant some celery in that pot, and now we have potato celery crop rotation. Here we have potato leek crop rotation, all in a pot, all in one season, all on a patio, using the same compost and the same pot. Am I repeating myself? I am. Right, let's move on. Let me show you what we did last year. I've just harvested some early potatoes. These are them. These are the pots potatoes came out of, and this is the compost that grew the potatoes. All these didn't come out of this one pot, by the way. These came out of, I think it was 3 pots. So we've got all this compost spare, and we've got some empty pots. Okay, we've talked about this all year, but now we're going to put this plan into action. We're going to sow some leeks, and we're going to sow some celery. These are leeks that were started by me from seed indoors. They're Musselburgh, and the celery was started by me indoors from seed, and the celery is Victoria. But before we reuse this compost, we'll add a bit of spark. Okay, blood fish and bone. Now you might not be able to tell, but it looks a lot darker than blood fish and bone should look. That's because I've added some coffee grounds in there, some free coffee grounds. So we're just going to pop a bit of this in with this spent compost. And that's what we're going to grow our leeks and celery in. Okay. I'll just give it a mix. Let's fill our pots. One. I'll add a little more of this because most of that was on the top. Okay. Excuse me, Molly. Thank you. Just mix that in. Don't want that. We'll fill this pot. Two pots full of compost. These are the leeks. This is the celery. We'll go with the leeks first. I'm going to grow 4 leeks in a pot. That's something I've done before. And I'm going to grow 4 celery in a pot. That's something I've done before. So I know it works. Okay. There's videos on the channel if you want to check them out. Excuse me, Mop. Okay, now we want these evenly spaced. So we'll just use these 4 white pebbles to give us a bit of a guideline, shall we? How's that look? Reasonably spaced there, would you say? Okay. So it should be this easy. 1. 2. Now there's not a lot of leek going in the pot here, just the roots, and that's because when we want these leeks to be blanched, when we want to get them white, we'll blanch them up. We'll use some sort of cover to cover them above the ground, and that'll cause them to blanch up. So there's no need to put these in any depth at all, just make sure you get the roots in. Okay, so if you look at that, it's about ½ an inch of white on there, and that's all that's going below soil level. But when I harvest these, I'll be looking for 6 inches of white at least, probably more. Okay, so if I've got some water handy, and I think I have, we'll give those a water. How quick was that? So this compost, recycled, it's going to produce a second crop, same pot, same compost, same year. Come on, homegrown veg. Okay, these guys are a bit trickier because they're not in individual cells, but we want 4 of these guys out. So let's do this. That looks like 2. And that looks like 2. Put a bit of compost in there, press that down. These will be sown in a pot later, another pot. We won't waste these guys will go in another pot that when we empty it out, when we take the earlies out, we'll pop these up. Okay, so let's get our stones, our pebbles. One, 2, 3, 4. How's that look? And again with these, there's no need to plant them too deep. Okay, we'll water these guys in. Have you lifted your earlies yet? Well, if you've lifted your earlies, you've got compost, haven't you? And if you're growing in pots, you've got pots. Come on, what are you waiting for? Do this if you've grown these. If you haven't garden centre, get yourself some. How's that? 4 leeks, 4 celery. So let's have a look. Let's see how much these guys have grown. We'll do the leeks first. These are the leeks. As you can see, the wind protectors are still in place. 4 of them in that pot. That's 4 leeks in a 10-inch pot. Now let's have a look at this celery. This is the celery. 4 heads of celery in this pot, in this 10-inch pot. As you can see, the windbreaks are still on. So as you can see, this celery's really took off. And it's looking really healthy. It's a celery called Victoria. So I'm happy with the celery, I'm happy with the leeks. This is some celery I started indoors earlier this year, and when the plants were big enough I potted them on, and I've sown 4 heads of celery in this 10-inch pot. It's a variety called Victoria. We're now in the beginning of November, so we're heading into our winter months, and these guys went in this pot in the early summer, and I know that because they're in recycled compost. This compost has already grown early potatoes. I've just harvested some early potatoes. These are them. These are the pots potatoes came out of, and this is the compost that grew the potatoes. All these didn't come out of this one pot, by the way. These came out of, I think it was 3 pots. So we've got all this compost spare, and we've got some empty pots. And probably in this pot. So it's early potatoes out, celery in, recycle the compost, just add some blood, fish and bone, just add any general fertiliser you've got just to spark it up again. So it's early potatoes out, celery in, or early potatoes out, leeks in. That's the way we do it at Homegrown Veg. Now, I could just take one of these heads, but as I've said, because we're starting to get the frosts, I'm going to take all 4. I'm not going to chance it. But I'll lift these guys out and I'll show you how to take just the 1 head of celery, if that's all you require. Okay, so if we grip these guys like so, hold the pot between our feet and do this. Hey, how good is that? Come on, how good is that? Right. So there's our root ball. Now then, if we want to take just 1 head of celery, this is how we would do it. Okay. Just using a garden trowel, we'd go in from the side and we'd make a few cuts into the root ball, like this. And hopefully voila, 1 head of celery. The other 3 are still there, the roots have very little disturbance on them, and should we want to grow those 3 on, we can simply lift this, excuse me Molly, back into the pot. Put some compost in that where this root ball has left a hole. Put some compost in there, water it, and away we go. But as I've already said, we're going to take all 4 of these today. So let's get them back out and do what we said we were going to do. How's that looking? 4 heads of celery from a 10-inch pot, grown in recycled compost. That compost has already grown potatoes. Now it's grew these 4 heads of celery. Can you see them? Let me just move them forward a bit. And this is on a patio, by the way, so you don't need an allotment. If you haven't got a very big garden, 10-inch pots will grow these guys. Look, barrel full of celery. How good is that? Well, we've got some blue skies overhead, so we best do a bit of gardening. These are the pop bottle windbreaks, they're still on, held in place with these pieces of rocket stick. If you get out and get any this November, I think I got about 18, and my neighbour collected a few for me, so they come in handy, don't they, for holding things in place. I'm not too sure I'm going to get these guys out. I think we'll try and roll them out in a wanna and hopefully not break this pot. Right, they seem to want to come. Let's see if we can lift them out. Need to hold that pot. Oh, here we go. How's that? These guys will be root bound, so we might struggle to get them out of here, but we'll see. Just going to put the spade down to break this soil ball, and hopefully not slice any of these leeks at the same time. Right, see if we can just break these apart. Yeah, I reckon. Oh, that looks good. Oh yeah, there's our first leek. See if we can tease these protectors off. I know these leaves are getting damaged, but it's the white shank we're after really of the leek. Yeah, we're coming. There it is, down the garden. These are some pieces of felt I actually put inside the bottle just to help blanch the leek. I don't know if they've worked, we'll find out. And of course we'll use these again next year. I'll do a tidy up when we finish, don't worry, I'm not going to leave a mess. They're looking like, hey, not too bad. What's wrong with that? Remember, we've already used this pot once and this compost once. Now we've got this leek. And we've got this leek. Wow, even bigger. How's that looking? Now if you don't do this, the compost you've used for your early potatoes is just going to do nothing, isn't it? Your pot's going to be empty. And if you've got a pot and you've got some compost, you should have a go at this, shouldn't you? Look at this. Man, these are good leeks. Oh, so, okay, so I'll find a bucket, wash the muck off these guys, tidy them up, let you have a better look at them. Okay. Okay, these guys have scrubbed up really nice. Before I show you them, let me ask you, did you take my advice earlier this year? When you lifted your earlies, did you plant some leeks? If you planted some leeks in pots, you should be harvesting them now. And your leeks should be like these leeks. There's no reason why not. If you didn't, you're going to be kicking yourself, and you will do it next year. Trust me, you will. You'll start some leeks early doors. When your potatoes come out in the early summer months, you'll be popping these leeks in, you'll be growing leeks. You will be, I can't say why not. Have a look at these guys. Whoa, look at that. Come on. Come on. That's a result, isn't it? Recycled compost, second crop out of this pot this year. We've already had early potatoes, now we're getting leeks. And let me show you, I can span about 9 inches. Come on. There's more than 9 inches of white there. So, this is what's possible. Hey Molly, excuse me, come on, you know you don't like leeks, there's nothing here for you. Hey, oi, Molly, are you listening to me? Skedaddle. Molly, excuse me. Over there. Get out of that. Right, yeah, so these are the leeks, and this is the end of the video. So this is Homegrown Veg, signing out.